There is a quiet moment when the mind turns inward and begins to fracture itself in ways too subtle to notice at first. It doesn't happen with noise, nor with panic, but with a slow expansion of fear that spreads quietly beneath awareness. One thought appears, simple and harmless, and then another rises behind it, drawing you into a path you never intended to follow. Soon the mind is no longer a clear reflection of your world. It becomes a hall of mirrors, each reflection bending fear into sharper forms. You feel it in the body before you understand it. A tightness beneath the ribs, a shift in your breathing, a quiet trembling in the background of awareness. And even though nothing around you has changed, the inner landscape has, rearranging itself into territory you can't navigate. This is overthinking, a storm without thunder, a drowning without water, a prison whose walls exist only in the mind. And yet, you blame yourself for being trapped. You call yourself weak, dramatic, irrational, when in truth, you are simply human, carrying thoughts heavier than they appear. Daniel understood this weight. Every night his mind replayed conversations and expressions as if they were unsolved equations he needed to perfect. He searched for hidden meanings in ordinary moments, imagined intentions behind neutral words, and feared futures that never arrived. By dawn, he had lived through entire worlds of catastrophe inside his head, and every morning he wondered why peace never stayed. But here's what we often fail to see. If you're new here, this is in a Stoic, a place for rebuilding the mind from the inside. We've traced how thoughts quietly gather strength until they become storms. But here is the deeper question. What happens when the mind stops serving you and begins ruling you? Here is the first truth. Overthinking does not happen because you think too much. It happens because you trust the wrong thoughts. A thought is not a command, not a prophecy, not truth. It is simply an impulse, a spark in the mind, a momentary arrangement of memory and imagination. But the mind treats it as destiny. It believes that by examining every fear, you can prevent the future from hurting you. Yet rehearsing pain creates more pain, and preparing for disaster destroys your ability to experience peace. Marcus Aurelius understood this well. He wrote, "Today I escaped anxiety," or no, I discarded it. He didn't escape anxiety because it vanished, but because he refused to carry it further. Here is the Stoic insight. Overthinking is the mind attempting to find certainty in a world that has never offered certainty. It is the illusion of control disguised as caution. The Stoics taught that suffering comes from misjudgment, from confusing what you control with what you don't. Overthinking is the ultimate confusion. It convinces you that if you analyze enough, you can influence what has not yet happened and what may never happen at all. But control does not live in imagination. It lives in action. And overthinking keeps you from acting. Claire learned this over years of uncertainty. She believed that the perfect decision was hidden somewhere within her analysis. She built lists, charts, pros and cons, rehearsing futures she might never choose. Yet the deeper she thought, the less she knew what she wanted. And until her mentor asked her, "How many times Has overthinking protected you from something real? She paused, and for the first time, she saw the truth. Overthinking had protected her from nothing except her own peace. In that realization, she felt something loosen, a breath, a shift, a soft release from the grip of fear. Let's explore deeper. Overthinking survives because of three illusions. The first illusion: if I think more, I will feel safe. But safety comes from grounding, not from predicting. The second illusion: if I imagine every outcome, I can avoid pain. But imagining pain creates the same weight as living it. The mind cannot distinguish between imagined suffering and real suffering. The third illusion: if I worry enough, I can prevent loss. But worry prevents nothing except presence. Here's the Stoic shift. You do not silence the mind by force. Fighting thoughts strengthens them. Resisting thoughts glorifies them. Suppressing thoughts makes them return with sharper edges. The Stoic approach is simpler and far more powerful. Observe the thought. Name the thought. Let the thought pass without partnership. When the thought rises, say quietly, "This is only a thought, not a warning, not a prophecy, not a fate, just a thought." And when you say this, you reclaim the authority you once surrendered. Slowly, the mind spirals less. It stops inventing disasters you will never face. It stops replaying moments you have already survived, because it learns that you are no longer willing to follow it into the storm. You have become the witness, and the witness cannot drown in a storm. He refuses to enter. Here lies the Stoic answer. You do not end overthinking by eliminating thought. You end it by transforming your relationship to thought itself. You learn to stand in the present moment, not in imagined futures or distorted memories. You meet life as it comes, not as fear predicts it will be. And slowly, your calm returns, not by accident, but by practice. Calm becomes a discipline, a daily act of seeing clearly, choosing wisely, and refusing to let thoughts become your rulers. Your mind will always produce thoughts. That is its nature. But peace begins when you stop believing that every thought deserves a response, or worse, your obedience. If this message resonates, follow in a Stoic. Share this video with someone who needs it, and step into your next chapter. The next video is waiting.